Well, folks, how y'all doing today? Now, folks, a lot of folks don't seem to understand that absent their own labors, the good jobs have simply left. Okay? Now, this is reality. You better get this in your mind, children. Unless you want to live in a third world hellhole full of the subhuman filth of the world that undercut your wages and beat your children, rape your daughters, steal your future, you have to work with you. First off, that means you personally have to work with yourself. I mean, I don't know your own situation. You may be better off than me. You may be less off. Who knows? But everyone has things they can improve. This isn't some judgmental statement. It's generally a reality, right? I doubt few of you are actual living gods. I'm skeptical of that claim. Greatly skeptical. So, this would imply there are always things to improve. Now, the next thing to do, in my view, would be to work with you in the sense of you group you lots of people, you. Okay? So, yeah. So you go find people whose values and sort of aims and means line up with yours, and then you try to associate labors with them, right? And that's where all of these diagrams with all of these weird acronyms and whatever, the hexagram, for instance, that you'll be seeing here come in. It's just one conceptualization of how a group of people could do this. Men, in this instance, the idea is a group of single men, say between mid-20s and, deaf, okay, that are willing to, first off, the idea is that these men save. Then they create a whole series of fictional people, associations, LLCs, pass-through corporations, charitable enterprises, media corporations, such and so forth. Okay, and that's the list of things here. That's the Land Management Corporation, which isn't as scary as it sounds. It's just if you have 50 men and they want to buy a large plot of land, you can either split it into 50 pieces or you can have some unitary way for them to control it. Anybody who understands this understands that on scale use is going to generally be more efficient off the top, particularly for people who don't have families initially. Okay. And then you ask what would happen if they, as they go along, they've been here for a certain amount of time, they find women. Well, then there'd just simply be a system where, if you think of it like a logging camp, where initial logging camps there, the men are working, there's wealth built up in a given area, a town builds up, there's women there, they meet the women, then they go off, they build their own deal, but they don't stop working at the logging site, they just don't live at the logging camp anymore. And you have much this same thing. Now, of course, this adds a whole bunch of dynamics, but by this time, this initial camp acts as an anchor. That's the general idea. Now, the other deal, since of course remember this land would be initially, the idea wouldn't be timber, but timber is a possibility. It would be agriculture. You say why? Because, well, if you have 50 men, they're going to need to eat right off the top, and I guarantee you, I know that I can grow way more than I can eat. And if I could teach 50 people to even do it as well as me with agriculture, then look at that and a couple of small machines, maybe a couple horses even, there could be a lot of food. I mean, a lot of food produced, a great amount of food, right? It'd be kind of a pain to store it, actually, and stuff. And that's where your farmers market and basic producers cooperative type stuff come in, where, yeah, the people who have actually made the things set up a legal corporation to help them sell it underneath market regulations that happen to prevail at the time, huh? Yeah. I mean, that does seem wise to maximize their profits, right? It also keeps any of them, again, all of these legal fictions keep any one person from ripping anyone off. It also makes sure that there's a legal mechanism to keep everyone to their word and so forth. And do you understand? Okay? I mean, I'd like to rely on human goodness. I'd like to think that everyone had honor, but they don't. And that's why these legal requirements are here, do you see? And these are all basically valid. Everything in here can be done in all 50 states. In fact, in any place where they speak English natively, it can be done. Just the names for what you'd have to call these would change. That's where you know when your local law comes in, I guess. Now, once these people have built up enough wealth, saved wealth from the management of land and the sale of the things, go straight to a credit union. apply for a credit union, a state credit union, and then try to get as many local people in the area that you've chosen to want to sign the petition with you. And this, if you can get this done, then you're set, right? Also, there's going to be excess food that you can't eat and you can't sell. Give that to a charitable nonprofit, and yeah, I mean, Jesus gave out bread. I don't know. You can call me a sap or whatnot, but I don't mind feeding the poor. I do actually give away food to just such a place like this. But the key is that these men, this could be their place that they give it away to, and so sort of, the goodwill would go to them. I mean, that's just human nature. At the same time as all this, once you have this level of labor and stuff built up, pretty much this should be about when men start to fragment off, form their own homes around the initial deal. A political society, but the stated goal of, say, 50% of your members of your land management team, who are the same, all same people all the way through. Okay, there's no change in people, just a change in legal personage. They 50% join the local Republicans, 50% join the local Democrats, or if there's a local third party, all of you join it and gang bust it, take it over. Now you have legal political authority to use as a implement of gravatas. It'll give you gravity. What you say will be important now. And 6, to make sure that what you say is magnified, amplified, and taught properly. These men would form a media corporation. That's right. We can't trust these bastards in the media. So immediately, once we have this level of affluence, of sophistication, of actual capital backing based on real dirty fingers, crooked backs, real, that does make the politics a little more personal when the people whose backs are crooked are the ones who are actually preaching the politics. Yep. Now, you get a media corporation where you get some slick, pretty, lady and a nice, fine-faced gentleman, to say, these nationalists are really the best thing since sliced bread. Cake has nothing on them. Okay, do you know? Right? Interspace that with a little real media coverage that's more truthful than what these people put out, and that shouldn't be hard to out-truth CNN or ABC. I mean, come on now. Just show both sides of the argument. You've already out-truthed them. And there you go. And this leads up to the grand thing. Now, this is going to be hard for a lot of you to understand because it's a weird conceptualization that I have. But basically, culture and society exist to educate the youth in their proper roles as males or females in the family, in the community, in the job, and to educate them as to what we would call road education: math, science, history, geography, physical education, all that, right? So it's like it's a full package, and that's what I say when I say an educational fund, something that's not just intellectual, but that has an intellectual component, a sort of a spiritual even component, to it, a sort of the why are you being educated in these things? Well, because they're our people's ways going back, and that teaches a reverence for this, not just because it's the past, but because it's worked and because it's fit to us. And just jumping off from these things that work is dangerous, and kids should be taught these things. They should be taught Aesop. They should be taught the basic fables and tales, both Christian and pagan, from the past. That is Greco-Roman, Christian, Germanic, past. They should be taught. Okay? There is no reason that we can't have something very much like an enlightened Byzantine Empire or a Byzantine culture come resurgent. Now, I don't mean that we're all going to be running around in robes with weird square hats. No. But the Byzantines, for anybody who knows, were both Christian. They had elements of the Germanics that they had taken in, but they never were taken over by them. And they were highly erudite through the entire time until they were taken over by the Turks. Now, if we had an education fund, your children would all know that. They would be aware of these things. They would know about the Doge of Venice. They would know about Robert Guiscard. They would know about the Normans. They would know about the Germanic tribes that crossed the Rhine. They would know about the Roman Empire, both the good and the bad points. They would know about the Vikings, the Slavs, the Rurikians, Ukraine, Kiev. Do you understand? Okay? And they would have pride about these things. Now, I don't know. Now, from there, once you have this kind of communal power, once you've basically, at this point, I mean, all you need to do is have your people elected sheriff and mayor, and the town's yours. I'm a strange one. I'm a weird one in that I believe that nationalism is a nature friendly belief, and that because we want our people to survive, well, having our people survive and be healthy requires a healthy environment around them. I mean, that's not insane. And I'm not a clean freak myself. I'm a hillbilly. But still, I don't like lethal chemicals just laying around me. I attempt to use them sparingly and with a mind to wiseness, because the production of them is not healthy for me or you or anything. The lefties are right about that. So one way we could help deflect their anger is now to get this is to make a corporation to save, use the bank and the other profitable enterprises here to direct capital to a fuel corporation to produce fuels, hydrogen, green fuels, diesel, green diesels, this, that, whatever happens to be profitable in the given situation, right? Another thing that I think would be really interesting for us to do is that's right, develop our own internet platform, to take the power of this community and fund an internet platform, pay for people to take free source software and program that first into an operating system for our use. Then, on that operating system, make DNS servers, this, that, the other, so that at least in this town, we could never be shut down from communications with ourselves, ever. And another one that I think would be really, really useful to have would be an actual energy corp, to take this green energy, windmills and this and that, and sell it back to the power grid to multiply our money efforts, you see. Because that's right, a community of little ants should be productive, and that'll give us the ability to say, look, we're actually useful people who create clean stuff, And of course, off all this fuel and electricity, the next logical step would be to take capital and invest it in local industries that used timber, that used stone, that used metal, and produce them into semi-finished and finished products. Now, I would say, why don't we use this green fuel and this electricity as the means to power this industry, so that we can at least plausibly sell this industry as green, you see? Now, that right there is innovative, and it helps us on the political front. So it's good for our people in the community because it gives them goods and resources, jobs, future, right? It also makes them independent of these globalists who have shipped their things away. Now, once you have this basic, what you may label as heavy industry, then you can branch off into taking semi-finished products and making them into other semi-finished products, or light industry, consumer industry. And then you have a complete little small bubble atom economy. I don't know.